Francis Maxwell back on Full-Time Devils. Happy to be back. We had the international break and we are hitting this weekend hard. It is Manchester United versus Arsenal. Let's talk some tactics. So it's going to be a tough task. There is no beating around the bush when it comes to that. Manchester United picked up a victory against Swansea. I think Swansea are arguably one of the worst teams in the league at the moment, so I wasn't blown away by the performance, but there was a lot of things that I took from it that were positive, and I'm going to try to see if we can find a way to describe how that can transfer over and play against Arsenal. So Arsenal have been in a fine run of form. There's no getting away from that. But this is the lineup that I would like to see Manchester United go out with. So there's some injury problems to face. Whether Smalling's going to come back, whether Luke Shaw. There's some players in there, Bailly, that are still out. And they have to face suspension as well, with Zlatan Ibrahimovic set to miss this game. So this is how I would like to see Manchester United line up for this. The back, it is a makeshift back four. Darmian moving to the right. I know Ashley Young had a decent game against Swansea, but there's a reason I want to see Darmian in there, because Arsenal's biggest threat, without a shadow of a doubt at the moment, is Alexis Sanchez, who likes to wander in that area. Jones, Rojo, Blin. And then the reason that I would go with both Herrera and Carrick. Herrera made his debut for Spain. He's high in confidence. He's looking good. Fellaini wanders too much. He's too much of a liability. He didn't have a bad game against Swansea. He offers an attacking threat at times. But Ander Herrera is going to be needed in there to keep them compact in that defensive midfield role, along with Carrick, who, again, showed that stability that was needed in there. So I think if I was Jose Mourinho, I would play both of them. They need to work together, which I'll highlight. And then the final attack in front, Mata, Pogba. I loved Rooney on the left side against Swansea. Let's hope his head is straight after a few benders after he celebrated the win over Scotland. I mean, come on. It's Scotland. I'm from Scotland. You don't need to go out and go on a bender to celebrate it that much. And then Rashford up top to step in for the suspended Zlatan. So as always, you know the deal here. What is Arsenal's biggest attacking threat at the moment? It's the versatility of Alexis Sanchez. He's frightening at the moment to watch because he's so hard to pick up, whether Arsenal go with the front man and he plays off of him or where he acts as a front man himself. It was highlighted against Sunderland. 3 or 4 times Alexis Sanchez posed a different question to the Sunderland defenders, which made it so hard to think about how they were going to pick him up. So if you watch Sanchez, what he usually likes to do is he usually likes to start on the left, check in, whether the fullback checks with him or where the centre midfielder takes him. What he does is he creates this space in here, whether you have an overlapping runner, because Arsenal's fullbacks like to get forward, or whether they maybe start to try and flood this area to try and prevent it, and it creates this gap in here. And what Alexis Sanchez does is it's almost like the ripple effect. He makes one sort of movement, and Arsenal are fully in sync because he's an intelligent player, that they know he's not just going to stick to that. He's not going to move in to check to get the ball to feet, and then if he doesn't get it, just be like, whatever. You never gave me it, I'm just going to wander back. No, he recycles his run. He literally goes back and does another run that he practices like a figure of 8. So if you check him in here, he'll try to check in. If he doesn't get the ball, what he's going to do is a figure of 8. He'll check back out, and he'll try to work himself in behind to create the space. He did the exact thing against Sunderland, and they weren't intelligent enough to pick him up, for example. So what happened is he checked for the ball on defeat. The Sunderland defender followed him in. He never got the ball, and then what he did is he just bent his run right in here. Again, this figure of 8 that you're taught from a very early age. And he checked into this area. The ball was whipped in down the line, and there he was, headed it into the back of the net. And before you know it, you have a guy who's playing like a centre forward, but also playing like a winger and an attacking midfielder. These are some of the best players in the world do this. Lionel Messi does it for Barcelona. He just plays in that hole, and he's very hard to pick up. This is why I want Herrera and Carrick in there, because we need some sort of cushion so that if he beats one man and he has his ability to try and wander into the box, there's a line of communication. Fellaini often is caught out of position. He doesn't hold any sort of infrastructure in that defensive midfielder position. Carrick himself is not enough. If Alexis Sanchez isolates him one-on-one, he's going to beat him. He will find the room for a shot. So Herrera does a very good job of acting as a shadow to his fellow centre midfielders, for instance. What I like about Herrera is if Carrick steps to the ball in here, maybe it's an Ozil, he'll act as a shadow and he'll create this sort of triangle effect, which I talk about quite a lot, where they have this triangular form of pressure, where Pogba's in here, if the ball goes back, he's going to put the pressure on, and then it's going to shift. and they stick as a triangle. So Alexis Sanchez won't be able to just move in here and then make this recycled run free of charge. He will have a man who will trace him back, maybe Carrick steps in, and this is all through Herrera's doing because he acts very well as a shadow. He likes to kind of follow his centre midfielder to keep this keep the easy outlet from being prevented. And Alexis Sanchez loves to create those outlets for Ozil to stream through, for Giroud, for Walcott, whoever can go in there and really take advantage of it. So it's a small adjustment. It's not going to solve all the problems. There will be further problems in there. But Alexis Sanchez is a man that you have to look out for, especially if he works in sync with Mesut Ozil. But enough of that. What can Manchester United do going forward to win this game? The Arsenal defensively, in conceding that second goal against Ludogorets, highlighted something I would like to see from Manchester United, something that they were doing very well against Swansea, is they were using their wider players in a more central role. Manchester United's wide players at the moment, Rooney and Mata, they're not your go-to wingers. They're not going to take someone on one-on-one and whip a ball in. They're going to use what they're good at, and that's checking in, taking it into feet and creating space. So what I would like to see is what Ludogorets did well. So Ludogorets in their example they played three up top, very similar. This attacking 4-2-3-1 everyone likes to see. And they had one of their centre forwards check into feet. And what that did, as expected, is it forced Arsenal centre-backs to make a decision. Check in, you have to follow this man. And then what they did is they played a nice ball in behind. And that isolated Kieran Gibbs one-on-one. If it's Gibbs in there, whoever it is, it at least gives you an opportunity to take someone on one-on-one. So maybe what I would like to see instead is Marcus Rashford, who I know is very quick, rather than him check in, use Wayne Rooney as this wall that he played so well against Swansea. Wayne Rooney's role for Manchester United is not defined. No more. He's no longer cut and dry, this player or that. He's going to have his games. He's going to have his moments. There's going to be some games where Wayne Rooney should play and some games where he shouldn't. This is one game he should play because I need him, Manchester United needs him to have that intelligence, to know what he is good at, which is checking in, using his body, being intelligent, and just acting in a way as a decoy to allow for the runs of Marcus Rashford and for those players who are better, I think, at getting in behind and utilising their pace one-on-one. So rather than Rashford checking in like the striker did for Ludogorets, I want Rashford to be ready to work in sync. I want Wayne Rooney to check in defeat, whether it's a ball from Carrick or Pogba, pose a question for the full-backs, pose a question for the centre-backs to check in. Use Paul Pogba because he's so talented at these long balls. So when Rooney checks into feet, whether Carrick gives him in here, and he's going to utilise himself as a wall, Paul Pogba is going to play the ball in behind. And Rashford's job is to either spin in behind, to give himself the option to take on the wide man one-on-one, or he's going to make this diagonal run in behind, and it's going to pose this question for the centre-backs, and Paul Pogba can do, as the Ludogorets player did very well, play a long ball in behind and utilise his passing ability, because I love Paul Pogba in a role where he doesn't have to worry about the defensive side of the game. He still has a job to do. He still has to pressure in the right way, make sure he forces his opponents into a compromised position like anyone in an attacking position is taught to do. You're not taught to go in and win the ball. You're taught to kind of usher the opposing team into an area where you have a better chance of winning the ball. That is Pogba's job in a defensive side, but as an attacking side, he needs to be utilising his vision, utilising his passing ability, and this will happen in this instance if Marcus Rashford is ready to spin in behind and use that pace. And Wayne Rooney and Juan Mata, they're not the quickest, but they're very intelligent. They have a great touch. They have great movement, checking into feet. It may seem like a small thing, but I think it can work wonders if they're all working in sync together. So it's not a lot of things that Arsenal are doing wrong at the moment. That's just the harsh reality. Defensive lapses in concentration are rarer this year for Arsenal, but it is the month of November, and we do know that they notoriously do struggle. Manchester United have the beating on them with wins in the past few times they visited and came to Old Trafford. So Manchester United do have that upper hand. Doing this will help utilise a quality, which is Marcus Rashford's ability in behind and his pace. Do it, and I think we'll find some success. Don't do it as well. Manchester United are going to have to batten down the hatches, worry about Alexis Sanchez, worry about these players who are going to pose problems, and I don't see it panning out as well. Who knows? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. It's a pleasure to be back on the channel to be talking some tactics. Hit me up on Twitter throughout the game, Francis_Maxwell, and I'll catch you guys very soon.